So in this video, I'm gonna break down for you 3 big mistakes that I see people make when it comes to building muscle. And these are partially the reasons why so many people are not seeing results from their training when it comes to building muscle, despite showing up consistently, sometimes even for years, working really hard. They're following different programs, but they feel like they're stuck. And I want to make sure you don't end up in the same situation. So let's break down each of these mistakes step by step to ensure your hard work goes in the right direction. Now, the first muscle building mistake you must avoid at all costs on your fitness journey is forgetting to hit the like button on this video. So do it right now, destroy that like button, and don't be surprised if you wake up the next day with a lot more gains. That's what hitting the like button can do for you. Now, the big muscle building mistake I want you to avoid, and something that happens and I see pretty much every single time I walk in the gym, I look around, is not standardizing your repetitions. What I mean by this is that if you look at the average gym goer and how they're performing their sets, you'll notice there's a lot of variety in their range of motion. Typically what happens at the beginning of the set, when fatigue is low, they're gonna have a lot more range of motion, and then as they progress through the set, they're gonna be cutting that range of motion shorter and shorter because it is getting harder. And here you must develop a standard. For example, if I'm performing a dumbbell bench press, on the way down, I want to make sure that I touch my body just slightly with the dumbbells, and then on the way up, I lock out my elbows. And this gives me a clear standard, and I know my body is capable of this range of motion. So if there are deviations, if I'm not going all the way down or touching my body and I'm not locking on my elbows, I know that I'm cheating. And that gives me a clear sign whether I need to work on my technique. Now, for most people, if you look at their sets, there's so much variety, so much noise that they don't even know what's actually going on. And you can't tell if they're doing partials or actually doing full reps. And this poses another problem. If there's a lot of variety in the range of motion, how do you know whether you're making progress? Because if you add weight to a certain exercise, if you have a lot of noise between the repetitions, you won't know if you've been able to add weight because you cut the range of motion, or is it because you truly gotten stronger across the entire range of motion, which is really what you should be doing if your goal is to maximize muscle growth. And your goal here is actually to find your own standard for each of the exercises you're performing. And that can be different between individuals and between exercises, of course. For example, in the chin-up, for me personally, I want to make sure that every single time I'm on the way up, I touch with my shoulder, the bar, or my hand. On the leg press, a little bit harder, but you just remember as the platform is going down, what's the lowest point on the metal, and then you remember that point. And then for each repetition, you make sure that you're going that low. So you develop your own standards across your entire workout plan, and this will ensure that each rep is done properly. And then the compound effect of those quality repetitions will lead to you building more muscle. Now, the second big mistake that a lot of people make with their training that ends up limiting their muscle growth is not staying focused for the second half of their workouts. Typically in the beginning, for the 1 or 2 compound lifts they're doing, their benches, their squats, their overhead presses, deadlifts, chin-ups, they're gonna be okay. But then for the second half of the workout, you're gonna see a lot of sloppy things happening. So poor form, not controlling the eccentric, they're gonna be using a lot of momentum. It's just a lot of bad lifting habits suddenly appear. They're checking their phone, they're socializing, they're just not there in the moment trying to do a good job, and they're just basically trying to get out of the gym as fast as possible. And then what you're gonna see, those exact same people complaining how their bicep isn't growing, their tricep is stuck at the same size for months and years, how their calves are stubborn, their forearms are stubborn, but they're not really focused on building up those body parts. They're doing a very low quality job. And when it comes to comparing that type of person with an advanced lifter, someone who's been doing it for a very long time, someone who's done it very successfully, you'll just see how much mental effort they're putting in to stay in this zone as fatigue accumulates through the session. That's really difficult. It's not an easy thing after you've done all your compounds and you're super tired to finish up and wrap up that workout and still do high quality sets. And these things do add up over time. You might say I'm spending an hour and a half in the gym, but ask yourself how much of that time is actually high quality, how much of that time is low quality. It can easily be like for most people, they do an hour, but the first 30 minutes is okay, but the last 30 minutes is very low quality work. And so this is really going to add up over time to less gains. And this is why most people are just not getting as much out of their sessions as they could. Now, the third muscle building mistake a lot of beginner and intermediates make with their nutrition is they're going to rely on intuitive eating as a strategy while they're going through their muscle gaining phases. They're basically trusting that their body knows how much food they need to eat, and they're relying on their hunger and satiety mechanisms. Now, this may work for some people because anything can work for some people, but for the majority of people, they will fall into different categories. So you'll have category one, that person that naturally is on a skinnier side, they don't have a big appetite, they don't need a ton of food to feel full, and yeah, they may eat the right amount of calories on some days, but then their body will naturally auto-regulate and they're going to be even less hungrier and they're going to start eating less and less over time and ending up under-eating often for muscle growth and not seeing the gains they need to see. And then on the other hand, you have that individual that has a big appetite and they're just not getting as full as easily, and that person will end up often overeating and then storing a lot of body fat and gaining weight really quickly. Neither one of those is ideal. So if you're a beginner and intermediate, and if you've never done a muscle building phase properly, you want to move away from your natural intuition and properly systematizing this and doing it the right way with tracking calories, macros, managing numbers, understanding the fluctuations, and making the right adjustments at the right time to prevent a disaster. You won't believe how many intermediates I talk to and they're saying, oh my God, I gained so much body fat, so much body weight, very little muscle, because they just weren't paying attention. And yes, over time, you can move away from tracking because there is a thing called learned intuition as you gather a lot of reference experiences and you know how things went the last one or two times. Sure, you can start doing it more intuitively, and that's okay. But in the beginning, if you're new to all this stuff, you want to manage this properly. And yes, training is the primary driver of growth. That's how you're stimulating muscle growth. But you do need high quality nutrients. You need the building blocks, and you also need the consistency of high quality nutrients over time. And that's not going to happen intuitively unless you've done this for a very, very long time. So you have to make it happen yourself. And the other thing that's going to help you be more successful on this journey is making sure you hit that subscribe button below the video, enable notifications, but hitting that bell icon as well. Details for coaching are in the description below if you want to work with me on your journey, and I will see you in my next video.